we will start. We'll just go over here with Officer Johnston over here. And so, introduce yourself.
I'm Officer Justin Johnson, Lebanon Police Department. I'm a field training officer. I played for Coach Hunt 2010 through 2013.
Awesome.
My name is Brian Blackburn. I've been with the Lebanon Police Department since 2010. I probably have the shortest stint at Cumberland University, which was about a year, and then I left here and had to get a job. So,
Hey, someone's got to do that, right? Absolutely.
I'm Sergeant Steve Green with the Lebanon Police Department. I'm a supervisor over our traffic unit. I played baseball here at Cumberland back in 95, 96, and 97.
Awesome. And Coach, if you would introduce yourself.
Coach Woody Hunt, former coach of the Cumberland University baseball team, and just retired. And I started in 1977, had a 1 year hiatus, and came back at a total of 43 years, either 40 or 41 as a head coach, and got great memories of all these guys around the table.
Fantastic. So, Coach, over the course of your tenure here, tell us some of the highlights, championships, and that sort of thing.
Well, you think of the championships first, but there's a lot of highlights that I can give you, and some I'll probably forget. But you know, Steve played on the runner-up team in '95, and that was a great team. We could have won it. In fact, we had the lead. And then he played on the '96 and '97 team, who were very good also. '97 was probably one of our better teams overall, especially position player wise. And I remember in '95, the disappointment of not winning that championship. The guys their hearts were ripped out of them, and we had players crying, and I was crying. And so much went into that season, we just came up a little bit short. So Steve remembers that two close calls during the game that I think could have gone either way. If it had it, we would probably win the game. So I remember those. There were highlights through disappointment, but still proud of the team and what they accomplished. That team, '95, '96, and '97, that era was as good as we've ever had here. And we almost won it, we did. But Justin played on a team that I'm really proud of. The most overachieving team is 2013. And Justin was a big part of that team. We only lost 2 conference games, and we lost 2 All-Americans to injury. Well, one to injury, one to a great situation. And they come back in 14 and made All-Americans. So if those 2 players had been on the 13 team, it had probably been maybe a national championship. But Justin played on that team. We only lost 2 conference games, went to the first round of the playoffs, and did very well, and just come up a little bit short of going to the World Series. And then Blackburn here is my neighbor. I saw him grow up, 2 doors down from me, and he was a good player, and I decided to go get a job. Nothing wrong with that. So I have great memories of him, but a lot of memories throughout my career. This involve all these players around the table.
Fantastic. So, and I know you're not the kind of person that likes to talk about those accolades, but from a standpoint of the public, they want to know. So, how many championships overall in your tenure?
National championships. And we had 3. 3
national championships.
And 2 runners up, and those 2 runner-up teams could have won it. Maybe we should have won it. It's just the disappointment of not winning it was equal to the joy of winning one. And Steve can tell you that. But those teams we were so proud of them. We were disappointed, but still proud. But we had a couple of 3rd place finishes that I think should have won it also, or could have won it. But you got to get certain breaks. You got to play good at the right time. And we had a great year, but came up a little bit short on 3 or 4 years that could have been a national championship.
Yeah. So being on this campus for 43 years, was it? Yeah. What are some of your memories about the campus itself and about the university, maybe outside of baseball?
Well, I lived in the dorm for a number of years. I lived in the girls' dorm in the apartment, and the boys' dorm. All 3 dorms I lived in. That was my housing. That's basically I got by because got to live in there for free.
That's fantastic. You
And
lived
so
in
it
the
was a
north.
struggle
I love
to make it financially, but the free housing and free food, we were able to get by. And so those are great memories. My boys grew up here on campus, where Coach Rhino and Scott both basically grew up here and was at every game that they could be at. They would travel with us, and it's just part of their early life. But we had a great time living on campus. But the transition from a 2 to 4 year school in '83, I believe, was a big moment for the school. And then seeing other sports being developed, seeing buildings being developed, and all that. It's just a rich history in my mind.
Yeah. So the growth here at Cumberland has just been amazing. What do you think about that? What do you kind of see for the school in the future?
Well, I see unlimited potential. I think that Paul Stone has given us good leadership. We're at now 2,500 plus students, and who ever thought that? Right now, we don't have enough room for everybody. They've got plans to build new buildings and make it the Journey Church into a academic building. You'll see that renovated here soon. So a lot of exciting plans for us in the future. It's just we haven't been able to keep up with our population growth.
Sure. Oh, I may have missed this, but you personally, as awards for Coach of the Year, any of those type of awards on your resume?
We've had a few of those. Yeah, I don't know. I have to look it up, but most of the time the coaches get awards. The players at the team does well. So we try to focus on the team achievements, and those other things are secondary.
And it's statements like that make you such an endearing coach. I mean, it really is, because you're more focused on the players and the team and the development, and that's awesome. So I'd like to kind of just open it up to you guys to talk about maybe some of your favorite memories. I'm not going to say, you first, whatever. Whoever wants to jump in there and maybe share one of your favorite memories or a story or whatnot about your time here at Cumberland.
Take it off, Justin. You got it.
The 2010 Zaxby's World Series in the fall. That's probably one of the funnest weeks we've ever had. Because I was on Troy Frazier's team, and it was Fanshaw's team. And did y'all have the Zaxby series?
We had the series there. We didn't call it Zaxby, but
If you win it, you got Zaxby's. Everybody loves Zaxby's. So I was on Troy's team, and Fanshaw had his team. We were stacked. It was like Greener, Troy, me, a bunch of people. And it came down to the last out with the bases loaded. And they put Fanshaw in the pitch. And Troy
Fanshaw pitching?
He could throw heat too.
Did?
And Troy smoked one dead center on him to win it.
I remember
And
that.
we went wild. It was crazy. That was one of the funnest times I've ever had.
So you played 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
right? What were your positions? What did you play?
Oh Lord. When I first got here, I played center field, left field, right field. Coach put me in the left a few times. Then when
Third base.
Hosey went down, I started at second. And then our third baseman, I think he had a bad attitude one game, so coach put me at third. I never played third in my life.
I remember that. Yeah,
Yeah, and I don't even remember where that was.
played very well up in Shawnee State.
Yeah, I made some crazy diving catch. That was fun.
Bad attitudes. I think that's every year.
Yeah.
Well, that story, I'll tell you that story. In 13, we were at Shawnee State, and Tyler Anderson and I had a little run-in, and so I benched him, and he went back into the clubhouse, and I followed him. We had a little tough conversation. I put Justin in, and he made some outstanding plays, and then I forgot when Tyler almost left the team, but he came back and played the rest of the year, and then next year was really a good player for our championship team. But Justin, he was a very very versatile defensively, a good center fielder, a good outfielder, and a good infielder. He played everywhere.
Sounds like a great utility guy.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, those
I was
guys
an
are hard to
average
find.
infielder.
Above average outfielder, average infielder.
Way above average outfielder.
If you're utility, you're good. You're good. There you go. You're good.
That's awesome. So, just what made you either decide, or did they come looking for you to come to play at Cumberland? What was your situation that got you here?
Here we go. I grew up here, so I took lessons from Coach Hunt when I was probably like 7, 8, 9
Yeah,
years
he
old.
was, I've known him all his life.
Pitching lessons.
Pitching list.
Of course, I grew to 5'8", so I stopped pitching. But I remember coaching. I would just come, and I was probably watching Steve back then. I was born when you played.
Yeah, thanks.
So,
There you go.
and coach would let like anybody that's getting lessons, we get to watch practice or come throw with y'all or something. And he's like, well, maybe one day you'll play here. So I was coming out of high school and I was going to Ball State. I was already practicing with him. And coach was at a tournament for one of the guys I played with, Cody Little, and I hit a home run like first pitch at Twitty City. Remember that field?
Yeah.
It was with those hot comp bats though. So
Those bats have changed over the
and
years.
I saw Coach Hunt after the game. I was like, hey, Coach. And he was like, I'm going to recruit you next year, Justin. I was like, that's good, Coach, but I already graduated. So he said, come see me next week. And I came and saw him. I wound up here.
Awesome. Good deal. Good deal.
Yeah, I remember giving him a lesson and remember his grandfather,
Oh, yeah.
Buzzy, and his brother, well,
Call him Vern.
I called him Vern. I gave him a nickname. He used to sing, and I give his brother lessons. I called him Vern, for what reason. And we'd be working on something, and he'll be talking about something else over here that's happening. If you see that car go by, or what's the name of that tree there? He would say stuff like that.
That's my brother.
He was, it was just funny.
You got something. Come on.
Well, I've always got something, y'all know that. No, I guess one of my biggest memories here was just seeing like now versus in '92, the development of how much stuff has grown. When I came in '92, the clubhouse is all it was. It was a locker room and it had a storage room back in there. And I think it had a shower and stuff like that, and that was it. And now if you walk around there, you've got offices, separate locker rooms for the coaches and everything like that. The batting cages, we didn't have the luxury of this right here. This is a nice facility considering what we had. We had, 8 poles and 2 nets.
Yeah.
And 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, 4 days a week out there swinging the sticks and just trying to get better, I didn't last very long here. I had a problem with my grades. But I pretty much grew up here on campus. Me and Scott, Coach's oldest son, grew up together. We played travel ball together throughout the summer. I don't know what he actually recruited me as, was a third baseman or a catcher or whatever. I think my biggest thing is I could swing the bat. So, and I had a decent glove, but a lot of times when I threw the baseball, I didn't know where it was going sometimes. I kind of launched it, I think there's still balls from where I played third base, and I don't know if some of them landed yet. They're still out here rolling around. So,
Well, Blackie was I remember him. He was a good hitter out of high school, and he played third base mostly for us in the fall and in the spring there. But he was a good hitter. I think if he had given himself a little bit more time in the classroom a little more, he would have been a good player for us. But, he had a good time here, and it doesn't matter how long you spend here, we value the time here for everybody. They're equal to me. And whether it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 or 4, I had several players only play half a year in the spring, and they it means as much as anybody else. So, but yeah, he was a good hitter and could have done well, but had to get a job. Nothing wrong with that.
So it sounds like you talk about history. You had a deep history with not only the university but with Coach, and sounds like your parents and family were friends and all that sort of stuff.
well, and Coach Hunt, him and my dad knew each other. Charlie Gregory was part of the student administration up here at the time. I've actually stayed in the dorms down there with them. I've stayed in the clubhouse before. Q Martin would stay in there at times. Remember that? That's a long time ago when it was first. We used to have fun up here. I mean, I went through all the baseball camps during the summertime. Never tried to be a pitcher.
No,
I knew it wasn't going to be my strong suit. So I just stayed swinging the bat and
I think they had a party in my clubhouse one time. My son had a birthday party. You may have been a part of that. I don't know. But maybe I was wrong.
Slept a few times since then, huh?
Yeah.
That's about like my memories are. Sometimes you got
I got
Can't remember everything, but
Those kids camps were fun as a kid though. Going up here.
the kids camp. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're a big part of my career, the camps.
I think we're gonna get a lot of our AU travel ball kids up here this year.
It's, the camps were so much fun, but very tiring. And I've got so many friends just from the camp. I'll see a person out in the community that may be their age. They said, look, I came to your camp. And I'll say, yeah, I remember you. I really don't, but I'd say that, just to make them feel good. But it's been amazing at the number of people that come through our camps and develop a relationship with our program. And I think it's one of the reasons why our baseball program is so strong in the community, because of our summer camps.
So, not in our presence today is another Lebanon Police Department officer, actually a detective, Nolan Gray. So, unfortunately, he was scheduled to be here today, but he's got to be in criminal court. He's got a pretty pressing case, so that was unfortunate. But, Coach, do you have any memories of that player?
Oh yeah, Nolan was a good hitter. He played on 13 also, didn't he?
Yes, sir.
On that team, and a couple other years, I forgot exactly. But he was a good hitter, strong, very strong. Played first base. Nolan was a good player. Hitting was his forte. He had a little temper at times, and he broke his hand on the field one day punching a wall. And so I think he's got another hand injury, I believe. So
I believe that's what he's in court for today. Another finger or hand injury, yes. So that was kind of pressing for
but
today.
I know his family for a long time, and it's just good memories of Nolan. He played on that 13 team, which is a very special team for us.
Awesome. Very good. Well, there, Mr. Green, Sergeant Green, what about you? What are your memories?
Oh me, let's see here, those three. I guess there's got a lot of them. To really narrow it down to one, I really can't. But I guess I could just pick '97 just because of the purpose of that's the year we went to Mexico to play.
Well, tell us about that.
That was different.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never been out of the country before, and Coach told us, hey, walk around with your batting gloves hanging out of your back pockets and this and that. And of course, once we got down there, we saw why. But it was different. We fly in, and this landing strip was out in the middle of nowhere. It wasn't nothing, no buildings. It was just like tall grass and landing in grass or I don't know. It was crazy. And we get off that plane, and then we're sitting there looking at this water, and they said, don't drink a lot of water. And you look at it, and you got parasites floating around the water. Like, oh, okay, that's why we don't drink the water.
Right.
Every meal you had goat milk and guacamole, and I was like, man. But one thing I did have when I was down there, I did have my Cokes.
Yeah.
So I did have Coca-Cola when I was there.
Yeah.
There you go.
We'll get into that. So, but it was different. We show up to fields out there, and they're cutting grass, not with lawnmowers. They're using weed whacker, cutting grass.
Machete, yeah.
Yeah, machetes. I mean, they were just knocking grass down by hand, not by lawnmower. And the bases were canvas bags filled with dirt and sand.
Yeah.
That's from majority of the fields. Now there was one or two maybe. I know one big stadium that we played at, but we played like Spain, Cuba, Mexico. Was Argentina one of them? Guatemala. We had teams from all over the country, and that was probably one of the most, I guess, standout seasons, just because of that difference of going down to Mexico.
Talk about the competition. A lot of it's kind of one of those things they say when you get into those countries, the competition is pretty tough. How was the competition back in that time?
It was Spain. I think the toughest was Cuba. Mexico was pretty tough, but Cuba, man, they had a pitcher that I think the catcher had caught it and threw it back to the pitcher by the time I swung. And then I'm sitting there thinking, all right, we're out in the field playing defense, and the pitcher's in the dugout smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
But he's throwing fastballs like nothing, and I can't see the ball. So I'm sitting there trying to bunt the ball. I still can't see it come by me. I mean, it was just so fast, and Cuba was I'd say they're probably the best talented team out there to that part of just experience-wise, because they were older. They were older people. I mean, they wasn't our age. But
Mexico was pretty good.
Mexico was good, yeah.
So we hear a lot of players from the Dominican Republic are pretty good. Did you experience any of those players from the Dominican Republic?
Down in Mexico?
Yeah.
I don't think Dominican Republic was there, were they? Or were they?
I don't think, I'm not sure, I don't think so.
Um,
They may have been, but
I had Rambo on my team. He was from Dominican.
Yeah.
Rambo.
but yeah, it was. I mean, it was pretty neat. But it was respectful. The people just they looked at us. They really did. I think. Tell me if I'm wrong, but they really looked at us like we were gods.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just like in awe.
yeah, they were.
Wow, look at these people. It was different, and it was kind of respectful to that part of it, and it makes you respect what you got here.
Yeah.
Because the country's down there what they got. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was almost just sad to see what they had to live through.
Well, speaking of godlike, you know, as a department, we won't ever let you live it down, Mr. Hall of Famer, three-time All-American.
Here
So
we go.
tell us about your experience and those, you know, again, we kid with you all the time, and we know that it's the farthest thing that you want to talk about, but it is a huge accomplishment, especially the three-time All-American, because what's the difference between yours and maybe some other All-Americans? The 3 times?
Well, mine's it's our first and only 3-time All-American
Okay.
baseball here.
And from what I understand, at different positions as well.
Correct, yes.
Yeah, so that makes it very unique also. So what were the 3 positions that you got on
Well,
there?
the main 2 was catcher and third. That was it. But then, what was it? I think spring, after the 95 season, I think it was 95, when I had my Tommy John surgery.
Yeah.
I come back, and of course I couldn't throw right away, but when I got to the part where I could swing the bat, I come in and just DH, and then eventually coach put me at first and second, just working my way back around the infield. So I ended up playing all position around the infield, just working until I got my arm strength back up.
Yeah.
So, but it was that was kind of wild to do that and just play anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah,
So it's fun.
that's awesome. Like I said, we give you a lot of stuff about it at the department, but we highly respect that factor, and you know, that's great. So moving further down, then you were inducted into the College Baseball Hall of Fame. When was that?
It was 2009. I'm gonna say 2009. I think it was.
Yeah.
That was when I was inducted into the Hall of Fame.
What was that like?
Humbling. I mean, it was just, I can sit here and you can point at me and say what I did. I mean, if it wasn't for teammates, coaches, other former players from other teams, if it just wasn't a competition, how would I have played? So I'm not going to sit here and say it was just about me on that part of it. It was a competition of teammates, battling for positions, playing other teams that had players to that caliber level. If it wasn't for them, I mean, how strong would I be able to get out there and play my game? So to be able to do that, I mean, it was to get inducted to a Hall of Fame, it's almost speechless. It's just very humbling and appreciative from the university and Coach Hunt for them to do that for me, to induct me into that. So it was great.
That's awesome. It is a huge accomplishment, and we do give you a lot of grief over it, but we think it's wonderful.
Yeah,
Coach, putting it lightly. So, Coach, because of your personality, your how do I say this? Your resume, your persona, really, you don't want to reflect it upon you, but upon the players that have come through here. So, talk about some of the. Today we're highlighting players that obviously work for our police department and that connection, but talk about some of the other players that have come through the system that have gone on to do some really remarkable things.
Yeah, I will. I'm going to talk about Steve and the Mexico trip real briefly.
Sure.
The Mexico trip was really one of the highlights of my career, and all the players will tell you today that was some of the most fun we've ever had. We landed there. We were ready to come home because of the conditions. And then they put us in a motel and treated us great. Got to get adjusted to the food, and we did. It was just, we were like heroes down there. The players would sign autographs, and the kids, we would give them gifts. We took a lot of gifts with us, and we played some very good teams. And we came in third. We could have won it. In fact, we had Cuba beat, and then we had an error to allow them to go on and win the game. And Steve hit a home run against Mexico, and Mark Suarez hit a home run right after that. And Mexico was very good. They won the tournament. So that trip was big highlight, almost as equal as the championships, you know, because it was that rewarding for us. And then Steve, ironically, he's from my hometown. And I knew Steve, but he had gone to Chipotle Community College in Florida, then signed with Kentucky, SEC player, then had to come here, and we got him 3 years playing here. And Steve was an exceptional player. The game was easy for him. He could throw, he could receive the ball. He was a good defensive third baseman, but his forte was just hitting. It's unbelievable the type of hitter he was. And people will tell you that Steve Green is maybe the all-time great overall player we've ever had here. And he proved that on the field. But Steve liked his Coca-Colas, and we went to the World Series one year, and Steve was kind of a morning game. I forgot, maybe 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And Steve was kind of moping around, and he would do that occasionally, you know, so I have to get over it. I said, "What's wrong, Steve?" He said, "I don't know." I said, you want a Coke, don't you?" He said, "Yeah." I said, I had to send somebody to the store to get him a Coke before he played. He got his Coke, he was fine, but that's a true story. But he was a great player, and it just, I'm glad he's able to stay in this community and become part of the police force, and which has been a big part of his life. But we've had a number of players that go on, the question you asked me, to be very successful. We have other policemen in other cities, some in Nashville, in fact, that are on the police force, and they're all over the country, and I'm real proud of them. Firefighters, we have Nick McCorkle locally that he's got a big promotion. I forgot what it is, but he's a local player that came here from Texas. We have other players on the fire department and all that. But we've had so many players to go and become successful that's just really hard to mention all of them because you don't want to put one in front of the other. But, you know.
You know, a lot of people, they're going to say, well, has anybody gone to the big game? Anybody?
We've had two players to make it to the big leagues in my era. We've had a lot of players to play professionally, including Steve played briefly for, you know, till his arm injury took over. But we've had Aaron Wilkerson to make the big leagues. He's now with the Dodgers in the minor leagues. We've had Lester Strode became a big league coach who played minor league ball and then became a big league coach. And then we had, who else made the big league?
Chris Smith.
Chris Smith was the #1 draft pick in 2001. He never made the big leagues, but he played a lot in the minor leagues, made a lot of money from his bonus. And then we had Luis Martinez to play in the big leagues with San Diego and the Texas Rangers. So we've had a lot of guys that get real close, but only two to make it to the actual big leagues in my era.
Fantastic. Very good. So, Coach, we really just want to thank you for obviously everything that you are and everything that you've done to kind of plant the seeds to make these gentlemen here better men growing up in the area and in the future, and all the players that have come through here. I'm just going to give each one of you guys an opportunity just to, in closing, say something to the coach.
I'll start by just saying Coach is not just a coach. He was a father figure. He teaches you the goals of life, the stages. Don't just teach you about baseball, getting you out in the public, get you involved with them. And of course, you know, I had my stepson Anthony come through, Anthony Hopkins come through in this program, and he's done well with it. Now we're coaching little AU ball teams, and we're taking things that he taught us to these kids now. I mean, from times that he grabbed me by the jersey and gave me the middle finger on my chest, and you know, I wake up next day and got bruises on my sternum and stuff. But you know, just like the other day, I grabbed two of our little catchers and I grabbed them by the shirt like he did me that day, and I was just telling them about what the toughest players, you need to toughen up a little bit. But folks just got to understand that he's not just a coach; he was a father figure. He just taught you the things of life, and I can't say enough to say how much I'm thankful to be a part of his life, of this university, of this town. Now that, you know, met my family, my wife down here, Helen, and it's just been, I can't say enough how great it's been able to just stay here, because I didn't know if I would or not, but you get down here and it grows on you, and it's all what he's done for us. So I just want to say thank you, Coach, for everything that you've done.
Thank you, Steve. What?
Here we go.
Yeah, go ahead.
I gotta be top 5 for like most chew outs ever.
Probably, yeah.
And probably number 1 on Coach Rhino's list too.
Yeah.
But I mean, I did a lot of stupid things when I was here, my first couple of years. But I stuck around just because of Coach, and I mean, he makes, like Steve said, he makes people better. And it kind of gets away. Coach talks a lot about like life lessons. Obviously, his Christian values, just like I share with him, and the importance of that, and about being brothers with each other. So it's more it's a lot of life lessons. If you stick around, go through the process, you'll buy in eventually. Just like, I mean, all of us, most of us have been successful that probably played here, that actually bought into the process. But I thank him for everything. Thanks for the chew-ins, the fun times, the
Zaxby's?
There's
Exactly.
I mean, it's just
yeah,
you know, things that he tells you.
it was a blast.
Lessons, the geese. You know, they flying that V formation. What do? You follow. Well, what do we do? What we're doing, we're getting this career, and we're following other people, learning how to do our job better. And we still do that to this day. And then, of course, chasing the rainbow. You know, and that's what we do. We're chasing our goals to get to where we want to be. And it's all. I mean, that's what he taught us in baseball during this program, during that time. And we're still doing that now in our job and our families. So it's just how it relates to everything.
That's awesome. Right?
Well, I guess with me, I probably have known Coach Hunt longer than anybody in this room.
Yeah.
You know, and I grew up around him. And I'll be 47 years old at the end of this month. And in the probably 40 years that I've known him, he's been the same person day in, day out, 365 days a year for that 40 years that I've known him. I didn't stick around here at school long enough to get chewed out very often. You know? So I wasn't around here long enough to do dumb stuff. You know, so, but with that being said, it was a blessing. You know, I grew up here with a lifelong friend, a lifelong father figure. You know, I just had that blessing on that end of it. And, you know, now we go to church together, so that's another blessing. So I thank you for everything you taught me.
Thank you.
Well, that's awesome. Again, Coach. So before we go, what are your plans? I mean, what do you do after?
It's been tough even the last week or so to realize you're not going to coach a team, and you know we got beat out this past couple of weeks ago. I used to say, well, I'm going to fix this next year, but it's not next year now. So it's a weird feeling, but I will adapt and be fine. I'm gonna work for the school part time as a fundraiser, alumni development, help maintain the fields, not the physical work, but make sure it gets done. Helping Ron Pavin out, who's been wonderful to me, help him out with some things, and just to stay busy with things and support the baseball program, of course. But I just want to thank all the former players who played here. They're all special to me. You know, without the chewings out and without me putting my finger in Steve's chest, without me chewing Justin out, it wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for those moments we had. And these three guys here are special to me because Steve's from my hometown. I went to high school with his mother, and knew his dad very well. And so, you know, by that's a special relationship. I've seen Justin grow up since he's 7 years old. His grandfather was one of my better friends, you know, as he was growing up, and supported me to no end. And Brian is, like he said, he's known me almost since I've been here. Know his family very well. He's my neighbor. His family's my neighbors, and we go to church together. So all that just builds relationship. And my best friends I have in this community are my former players. And it's just amazing that the connection that we have. And I think that this will continue with my son taking over. The connection with our alumni base is going to continue. And I think we have one of the strongest alumni baseball alumni basis of anybody in the country. And I'm really very, very proud of that. And I want to keep that going. So I'll be here, but not being the head coach.
Well, again, we thank you so much, and we're undoubtedly will see your face around campus, and we look forward to that. And best of wishes to you and your family, and everything that you decide to do moving forward, and the biggest thank you that we can put out there.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right.
You should have said that. Quit swimming in the pool of mediocrity.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Quit swimming in the pool of mediocrity. I love that.
Credit.
I love that.
That's going to just be one of my favorite speeches. The pool of mediocrity is credit.
Yeah. My son plays baseball, and I kept talking to him over and over. He got a scholarship at Maryville, and then he decided, well, I want to go to Chat State because of a girl. What else, right? So, but it's funny because you guys can relate to this. Not you yet, but you'll get there. But with kids, you got to be honest with your kids, right? Especially with their baseball abilities and stuff, because you don't want to fill them all full of stuff. But I used to tell my son all the time, you are a great average player. And he just looked at me. I'm like, no, really. But there's like 7 million of you out there.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do to put yourself a little bit, further in the lead? So.
That's where I was saying, earlier about, it's just, you got to look at all these former teammates, your guys you played with.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was here, the Anthony Crawfords, Rick Bayless, and Jason Weiler, and Mark Mills, I can't name. I'm not going to be able to name them all, and I hate that I can't. But if it wasn't for them, I mean, we competed against each other to make this team better, and that's what you do. I mean, you're a great average, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But that's that's what I want to think is the teammates that I played with, because they're the ones that I went out here and played the game with that made me better, made me who I am.
Well, you have good players on the team. You have great, maybe close to great players. You have good players. You have average players, and you have the below average players. They all mix together, but those great players can make this good player really good.
Yeah.
And that's what happens here. That we've been able to take 2 or 3 really above average players, maybe close to being a great college player, and their influence on these other players can be raises their level of play up. Yeah. It's amazing how that can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen that a bunch, and yeah. So real quick, I'm going to share this. It's a family baseball story. Our families get involved as we were growing up in our baseball, and travel ball is crazy. You guys all know about that. But we were in Alabama with my son one time at a game, and my wife was sitting next to obviously a dad from the other team, and she heard him say, my son was pitching at the time, and she heard him say, God, that kid's just throwing a bunch of junk. Being a mom, she looked over to the other dad to the left, which is another dad on our team. She says, do you get this guy? He just said Michael's throwing a bunch of junk out there. He doesn't realize I'm sitting right next to him, blah, blah. And Glenn's like, no, calm down. It's all good. Your son is throwing junk. He's throwing all these change-ups and it's a good thing. He's not insulting him. So she's like, oh, okay. So that was kind of a funny little thing. But yeah, kid couldn't throw a fastball to save his life, but man, he could throw a bunch of junk. But
is he at Chad State now, you say?
He's at Chat State, yeah. I make fun of him because last year they didn't have a season, so he went over to UT Chat, and I don't know how they did this, but because he doesn't go to that school, but he got on their intramural team just to keep in condition and that sort of thing. And I always tease him, I call him like, so how's that co-ed team going? Is that okay?
Well, that's they call that. That's really gotten to be pretty big.
Oh, it's amazing. They traveled and they played, just like a regular team. He says he really enjoyed it because it didn't have the usual pressures involved.
I heard that's not what they call it. But some schools had that.
Yeah,
it's become pretty competitive.
Yeah, intramural sports. Yeah, they traveled and
they traveled
everything like a regular baseball team.
Somebody else from Lebanon played down there 1 year. Who was that?
I remember somebody talking about that. I can't remember what they call it.
Cool.
But
all right.
I got another life saying, Coach. I got another life saying. Whatever you do in life, Make sure you like orange juice 100% concentrate.
No, the one that he always gave us, he said, if you think I'm crazy, get crazy with me.
Yeah, that'll do.
There you go. I
You
like
know,
that.
tighten that belt up. There you go.
I wasn't here long enough to do
Get crazy with me, yeah.
We used
When
to
I
have a-
would talk about concentration, is when you concentrate, it's pure. If you really know, and very few people know how to concentrate to the total. I'll give an example. If you go to the Kroger or Walmart and you buy orange juice, you buy that watered down stuff. It doesn't taste as good, but you buy that 100% concentrated, it's much better.
It's much.
So I give it, concentration means 100% pure.
That's right. That's right. So I always like orange juice.
We had a dry erase board at my house with all Coach Hunt sayings around it. It was like a big family tree.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
It was hilarious.
Well,
Well,
cool deal.
appreciate it, guys.
Thank you, guys. Let me grab your mic.